When I started the Red Letter Challenge, I found it to be rather humbling. You know, you go through all these things and find out that you're not that forgiving and you're not very generous. You know, a lot of self-reflection I go through on these things. I often come up short of where I really wished I was. But when I looked at the table of contents before this and saw a whole chapter on serving, I went, well, at least I get 1 week off. I mean, I was in the Army for 8 years. I was a U.S. Army Airborne Ranger. I've spent 25 years as a police officer. I was actually on 2 SWAT teams at the same time for a good chunk of my life. I'm a rock star at serving. So I saw that week as kind of an off week. You know, this is my strength. The rest of you try to keep up with me, but, you know, serving, I don't have a problem. So I go into that week and start doing some self-assessment. And again, this one I found incredibly humbling because I thought I had this one down. So what I found was that I have a unique ability to find an excuse not to serve because I find that cause or that person to be unworthy of my service. You know, I'm not going to help that guy out. That guy's where he's at because he made horrible decisions. I'm not going to enable him. I'm not going to serve him. He's not worthy of it, you know. And then I remembered something, and in order to illustrate my point, I'm going to shock some of you that know me. I'm going to actually tell a story. So I think you can actually, if you listen, you can hear my wife groaning back in the gathering room. Well, the story goes back a couple of years ago. I had been promoted up to a point where I worked in an office, but I still commanded our SWAT team. During the day, one day, we get called to a house. Now, this house I'm quite familiar with. I've been dealing with the whole family, but this one child in particular since he was probably 12. Families are generational Latin kings. I've dealt with this guy hundreds of times. I've bought drugs from him, and now my daughter told me to make sure after the 8:30 I'd undercover. I was not buying drugs from him. That was his undercover capacity. And then I have investigated him for several shootings. I've dealt with his brother, who was at that time the lead Latin king in that sect. And the week prior to this, my SWAT team served a high-risk warrant at his house because he was dealing drugs. So this man was no stranger. I was familiar with the house. But we get a call down there, a man with a gun, so I run out of my office. I go down there and meet with the patrol guys. My then chief was there. And we hear from his mother that he had been on a bender for the last couple of days, taking drugs, acting crazy, getting violent, and he just passed out on his bed with a gun in his hand. She was worried he was overdosing. Now the fear is, what do you do with this? We go into the house to help him. He wakes up. You're talking about a man that has threatened to kill me on countless times, threatened to kill my children, my wife, my men, their wives, their children. Like, it's almost a normal conversation with him that he makes that threat. And I remember at the time my chief looked at me and went, we got to go in. And I always love when bosses use the word we, you know, because I was pretty sure I wasn't going to see the chief in there with me. As my men now know, I'm not going in with him anymore. Yeah, you're right. We got to go in. So I grabbed a couple guys from my team that were on scene, and we used a technique called covert clearing to quietly move into that house, and we call it ninjaing. We ninja'd him. We actually went in and got the gun out of his hand before we woke him up. He woke up screaming that he was going to kill us. And we got him to the hospital and saved his life. So when it was over, we go back to the station and we go through a debriefing, kind of like an after actions review. What could we do better next time? And someone from the patrol chain of command, one of the commanders, asked the why question. I'm always leery of the why question. Why would you guys do this? You guys just risked your lives to save this guy. He's not going to cure cancer. He's not going to, find the Lord and go give to the needy and feed homeless people. He's going to end up killing someone else. He's going to end up overdosing and dying anyway, or he's going to end up getting killed by the police or another gangbanger. And statistically, that's true. I believe those are likely outcomes. But one of the men on my team said something at that time that has stuck with me for years, and I wish I'd have learned from it before I went through the Red Letter Challenge, but he said, that's who we are. Why'd you do that? Because that's who we are. We didn't do that for him. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve the sacrifice. He doesn't deserve the risk. We did it because that's who we are. We swore an oath to do this, the job we agreed to take. We don't get to pick and choose who we serve. We just serve. So now, my problem was, I realized when I went through the Red Letter Challenges, I never applied that to the rest of my life. It was just something I did for a living, a way to get a paycheck. So now, I hope, when I'm called upon to serve the church or my fellow man outside of work, when the question of why comes up, I hope that I'll answer, because that's who I am. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. There's no more to it. No one is deserving of it. I'm not deserving of it. That's my advice. Thank you very much.